All right, we're live. This is episode number 49 of the Deconstruction Podcast, brought to you by Jobtable, the simplest way to grow and manage your construction business. As always, here, let's kick it off with a review. This is from Gene Stork. This is a general contractor, home renovator in Connecticut in the US. So I recently started using Jobtable and couldn't be more satisfied with the platform. It has given me the complete control over my expenses, making it easy to track and manage my finances. The user interface is intuitive and the tools provided are incredibly helpful. I highly recommend Jobtable to anyone looking to take charge of their company's financial management. Thank you so much for that,
Big
Gene.
shout out to Gene. Thank you very much, man.
Boys, how we doing?
We're doing good. Got a lot going on. We have, for those listening in Toronto, we're going to be at the building show in Toronto. It's downtown Toronto at the Toronto Convention Center. It's probably one of the biggest shows for contractors. We're really excited to be there. We're going to be exhibiting there. We're going to have a booth. So come check us out if you are around. And if you're interested, by the way, hit us up and we can give you a all-inclusive pass. We have a few to give away. So if anyone's interested, going to be around, let us know and we can hook you up with that.
Yeah, if you're around, come by, say hi, have an espresso, shot of tequila, whatever floats your boat. We'll be there. And we're gonna have fun for 3 days.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to just connecting with contractors, other people in the industry, and it should be a good time.
Yeah,
3 days.
finally meeting some people that we regularly talk to face to face. So yeah, if you're around, you're down there, come see us at our booth. Let's shoot the shit a little bit and finally get to meet each other.
Honestly, not just saying this, these events are actually a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of really cool people. You get to see all the new technology that's coming out. It's a really good time. So if you have a chance, honestly, don't miss out on the opportunity.
Yeah, we'll all be there too, and it's one of those things. It's nice in this industry to be face to face and speak to our clients, people interested, trying to see what's out there. Yeah, it's nice to put faces to the names a lot of the times instead of behind a screen. If you're in Toronto, come check it out. All right, so I want to kick it off with actually a story or an article I read the other day, actually yesterday. It's something we've been talking about now for I feel like over a year, and I feel we're just starting to see the effects of everything right now. So
Wow.
in Toronto's core, only 25 new condos sold last month as the new home market continues to crater. 25 homes in Toronto. Just to give you some context, there were 99 new build condo sales in October 2024, already down from 302 in October 2023. Yeah, so I'm just reading this now. City as a whole, 55 new condos sold this October compared to 145 last October. So a pretty significant dip. And again, this is something we've been talking about now for, I feel like well over a year now. And so, we're hearing this too from a lot of contractors coming in 2026. Things are slowing down and can clearly see why. People aren't buying, developers are putting the brakes on a lot of the projects. And that's obviously going to have a pretty significant trickle effect on a lot of trades, as we're all hearing as well. So, Johny, when you hear this, and I don't know if you guys are impacted by this as well, but what are your thoughts?
It's nothing. I think the writing's been on the wall for quite some time. Like you said, we've talked about it a lot on our podcast, and with a lot of people in the industry as well. I think at times like this is where you have to really look at, if you are a business owner, is your company, diverse enough to operate in multiple sectors? Because yeah, there's massive slowdowns. People are not buying. There's a lot of uncertainty in the markets. It's nothing new. We've been talking about this for, quite some time now. And, it's just kind of like a telling time of, the direction that Canada's going. A lot of people think that this is just a hurdle. I don't think it's a hurdle. As inflation rises, as, costs go up as people are obviously, unions were just on strike, because, more money. I keep saying I don't see how the remedy is going to self-correct itself. Just simply by the fact is, if people need more money now an hour to live, um, and then on top of it, the building costs have gone up. But at the same time, how do you make a product like that cheaper? It just doesn't make sense. We've been building, 400 square foot boxes in the sky. And it gets to a point, it's like, how many families can live in there? You can't do it. I remember talking to somebody and they brought up a good point. It's like, I blame the city planners for, approving these types of buildings, number one. And number two, again, I don't see an end in sight on this market because it was a booming market. There was a massive bubble. We've had, a crazy influx of immigration into the country, but a lot of times when these people are immigrating, they're families. And how many families are going to buy, a 425 square foot condo for close to $1 million? It's not going to happen. Again, this stuff we've been talking about lots. I know sometimes we might seem like, we're downers, or, we're being very, very, let's just say one-sided on this, opinion. But again, like the writing's on the wall. I think if I'm not mistaken too, Kosta, you can even look it up. But I also heard too, because we started to get dips in the mortgage rates. And I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Scotia that says they're actually going to start increasing again. So when you look at somebody who was bought 2-3 years ago, and they have a mortgage of whatever, 800, $1 million, but they were at a, 1.8, 2%, 2.2% mortgage payment. And now all of a sudden they're coming up for renewal, which I think the beginning, the first quarter of 2026, there's a lot of renewals coming up. And those rates are going to jump to, 3.8, 4, 4.2. I think we're just at the start of this. And it's sad to see that, for such a hardworking country, for people that, work so hard, this is what we have to endure.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. It's one of these things where I look at it from kind of like a bit of a bigger picture lens, right? It's unfortunately Canada. We talk about incentive and stuff, and there's really, for the last, I'd say 5, maybe 7 years or so, on like a global scale, there's been very little incentive for people to park their money and invest in Canada. I feel like, we're kind of on a downward spiral right now, and there's kind of nothing on the horizon that I can see to make people excited to invest in Canada and to buy real estate. Like, Canada was once like a really safe haven place for foreigners and, wealthy people with money to park their funds, right? And a lot of people put in real estate. But I think the tides are turning. Like, we're on a downward spiral. I don't see anything exciting that's happening that's gonna pick it up. And we're kind of seeing the effects. And yeah, you're right. I just pulled it up. Scotia Bank, they say the Bank of Canada's next move will be a rate hike. And I'm not surprised by that, right? It's just the amount of the debt we're in, the printing that's continuing to rise, and we have an inflation problem. So you can't keep rates low, or inflation is just going to go crazy. And I think a lot of people are also banking on these rates to come down in the hopes of the market picking back up. But I think those days are behind us. Unless something happens, policy changes, drastic changes happen in this country, I'm not seeing how this turns around personally.
Johnny, you said it well. This didn't come as a surprise. I feel like the writing's been on the wall for a while now. Like, this is something that we foresaw. Even during the COVID times when they were just giving things away with a 2% rate, and it's like you knew that everything was going to jump up in 4 or 5 years and everybody's going to be screwed. It's very telling though when we have probably a dozen high-rise plumbers calling us for jobs every single week, and these guys are desperate to work. So clearly it's there's a big drought. And look, these builders have made a lot of money. They seized an opportunity for many years. They put up a lot of condos and they made boatloads of money. And it just seems like that opportunity is run dry. It's just it may not be there. That might change in the future. I don't really see it changing. Unless, like, like Kosta, you're talking about the economy, unless something drastically changes on that front. But with that being said, I think this is just another good reminder of the importance of the pivot, right? Like I said, like me and Johny, we kind of foresaw this happening, and a lot of the general contractors and builders that we work with pivoted to building rather than condos. They started doing rentals, and these guys are booming. They're putting up buildings, and they can't keep these apartments empty. They're being filled up very quickly, right? You can't, like Johny said, you can't expect someone to pay $500,000 for 400 square feet with the rates at the amounts that they are now. So I mean, it's not a surprise for us, and just again, it just really shows you that you have to really keep your ear to the ground, and you have to be ready for the stuff and be ready to pivot and move into different markets if need be.
Yeah, and again, sorry, Kosta, I just want to add one thing. Like, we love to spread positivity on our podcast and give people a sense of direction, or just have an open chat and have people chime in and get all types of perspectives. It's just the reality is we've had some really bad and again, we always say, like, you can control what you can control, and that's what you got to do to control your fate. But the reality is that there's so many powers that be that are just working against your hardworking, typically blue collar workers here in Canada. Again, talking about those incentives, we've talked about it a couple of episodes ago. An incentive is to incentivize these companies to hire people, to incentivize these builders or these companies that are looking for space to go in. Like, you don't see any of this happening, and it's sad to see, because we know so many people that have had some struggles in 2025, and again, we like to spread positivity, but at the same time be honest, where going into 2026, I think 2025 is going to look like a cakewalk. So, the reality is that I think enough people just need to, like, kind of stand up and start speaking out. Because, like you said, Kosta, we're on a whirlwind, and there's no safety net anywhere around. And the reality is, go talk to the blue collar people, right? Like, we have a good friend of the industry. We always talk about him, Manny. He's been to go talk to so many people in government about what's going on in the construction industry. And when he's sitting across the table from these people, not one person's qualified to be there, yet they're in control. So this just goes to show you that it's a bunch of bureaucrats that are in control of a certain sector that they have no knowledge about. And this is where it's going to take the positivity I want to spread today is to anybody listening. It takes people like us. We got to stop sitting back and just allowing things to just unfold. We need to stand up. We need to talk about it. We encourage anybody that wants to get a story out, or talk about the struggles that they see in their county, in their province, in their city, doesn't matter, all over North America. Please reach out to us, come out, because I think to save what's going on, it's going to take us blue collar guys.
John, just one important thing to note. You said something where, you said that you don't want to come off as a downer. And I think like we have to stop talking like this. Like what we're saying is not negative and it's not positive. Like things are going to happen, right? Nothing lasts forever. And I think it just shows you the importance of just, being ahead of everybody and just, just being in the know and keeping your eyes on things because again, one market is going to stop, it's going to come to a screeching halt or it's going to change. And you can't just sit there and say, "Oh man, this sucks. What am I going to do?" Things happen, right? You have to learn how to fucking deal with it. It's how you perceive things.
Yeah, and like, we said it before too. It's like, it starts with being informed. And as the saying is, information is power. I think that's not even the case anymore. It's like information is good, but if you're not doing anything with that information, then, your head's still in the sand. You're better off not knowing it. So you gotta react and you gotta make changes. And so, steering it away. So like, a lot of our listeners, a lot of our clients at Jobtable, there's smaller construction and trade companies, like 10 or fewer employees. And so, when you think about businesses now, where can potential opportunities, where do those opportunities lie? And what do you guys think about just like maybe focusing on like specializations in your particular trade? Like, for example, like if you're an electrician, just like, focus in on like EV charger installs, like a very like specific service. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like we've done the opposite of that, to be honest. John, I don't know what your thoughts are, but like for me personally, I look at our business and from the day we started to what we've evolved to now. I mean, we're a very unique company in the sense that we do service, we do commercial, we do industrial, we do residential, we do in-floor heating, we do condos, new new construction, we do renovations. There's really not a lot of types of plumbing that we don't touch. And the reason we've done that was to my previous point that we've kind of always put ourselves in a position where it's like, okay, look, commercials slowed down, so we're going to really ramp up the service, right? To keep the money flowing and to keep our guys employed. And we've done that consistently over the past 16 years. So for me, I think that this has been a very positive, has had a very positive impact on our company. So I would actually recommend everybody to not only specialize in one thing, specialize in numerous things. Right? Train your guys not just on EVs, but in residential, commercial, and kind of diversify and do all kinds of electrical, so that in case in the case where something dries up, you'll have something else to jump into, and also grow as a company.
I was thinking of it more on like the marketing end, right? So like if you're more like a generalist, it's really easy to get lost in the mix. Like everyone is kind of a generalist. Whereas if you specialize in something specific, it's easier for a consumer to find you because they're looking for a specific thing. Like that's kind of
It's
more the
no,
angle I was looking at.
yeah. So based on your angle there, Costa, like you do have a point to a certain extent, um, but I don't think that's the end all or be all. And again, I think this is the beauty of this dynamic of our show, is how we all have an input, and some people might favor one opinion to another, but my biggest thing in a time like this, is just being professional, right? Like getting back to like, being punctual, being professional, staying on top of your game, right? You getting that call, you answering that phone, even if you're busy in that moment, give them a time that you're going to call them back. They're going to expect your call. Make sure you're calling them back. Make sure you're following up. Make sure you're sending that quote on time. Make sure you're going to meet them. If you tell them 9 a.m., make sure you're there at, 8:58 a.m. These are all the things that are going to keep you busy, right? It's being a man of your word, and being reliable, right? Because I get back to one of the contractors we worked with for over a decade, and I remember during COVID when everything was closed, and we were still boots on the ground and knocking on doors, and you need something and whatever. And I remember one of the contractors that we have a lot of competition once upon a time, bidding for them, they even said, they were like, this is where I have to say you guys are standing out compared to the rest of your competition, because you guys are ready, you guys are willing, you guys, I need a budget, you guys are right there. I'm calling you, you guys are picking up. And I think this goes a long way, right? Like it's like you got to look at it, for those people that are doing residential or whatever. A lot of people are not spending money. So when somebody's calling you to, paint their house or to renovate their washroom or whatever, I'm telling you right now, man, like regardless of the fact, it's the people that show up, right? When they say they're going to show up, when they call you, when they say they're going to call you. Because a lot of people are tight with money. So when people are going to spend the money, they want to make sure that they're getting the best bang for their buck. And the biggest form of that is somebody that shows up. And I'll give you a prime example. I have a cousin of mine has an issue at his house. I gave him a couple of contractors. I said, look, call this guy, call this guy, call this guy. Obviously, they'll do, all the other work. When it comes to the plumbing, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it for you. And anyways, I gave him a few guys. I told him, who's my number one, who's my number two, and who's my number three. Obviously, number three was the cheapest price, and just long story short, on Sunday, I got a call. He's been waiting for 5 weeks. And the difference in price from number three to number one, you know what I mean, was $2,200, right? And now I know to a lot of people they're going to say, well, $2,200, it makes a big difference. Yeah, but not when you're not allowed, when you haven't been able to use your washroom for 5 weeks, right? Like that guy was literally telling me, he's like, if I knew this from the beginning, I just would have went with your number one, right? Because every time you call the guy, he's picking up, he's very responsive. Very responsible. He's there when he has to be there. But again, when when you're giving recommendations, you're giving a 1, 2, and 3, and just saying, look, get 3 prices. Whoever you feel comfortable with, go with them. And unfortunately, a lot of guys, they want to go with the lowest price. But if you're that guy that stands out, that shows up, that does this, I'm telling you, the chances of you getting that job and keeping busy during these times of uncertainty, I think are will set you apart from the rest.
Yeah. And another one too, like especially you, Johny, you preach, and Charlie as well, like the importance of relationships, right? And another huge opportunity right now is, so what is arguably the most important asset in any business? It's your database, your contacts.
And your relationship with those contacts.
And your relationship. So now if I'm a contractor right now, I'm literally going through, hopefully you have a CRM or like a centralized place where you can see all your contacts, past clients, people you've done work with, rather than, having it on your contact list on your phone, which is a mess. So hopefully you have something centralized. But right now I'm literally going through all my past clients, even people I've done work for years ago, and just tapping into those previous relationships and sparking conversations, asking for referrals. One conversation, one phone call can change the course of your business. So it's just a matter of making that call.
And look, me and my business, I'm that guy, right? So I'm always worried about what the company's going to do in 6 months, 8 months, a year down the line. And running as many guys as we do, sometimes it gets hard. It gets overwhelming, especially when you look at we use a board to see what we're bidding and when they're closing and when the projects are potentially starting, what we have in the pipeline. And what you just said, Kosta, is so true, because I can't tell you how many times we'll go through I'll personally go through our CRM, and if I notice shit looks a little bit slow, and so I don't have to lay off the guys, I'm literally going through the CRM, and just like you said, just making a phone call, right? Hey, how's it going? Haven't talked to you in a couple of months, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm telling you, man, like after a couple of those phone calls, something's gonna pop up where it's like, man, I'm glad you called me. I didn't even think about it. You know what? Like, I do have this. Like, how busy are you guys? And then one thing leads to another. And then when you're done with that, you're making a couple of more phone calls. And all of a sudden, you've just, everybody talks about marketing and, where should I advertise? Where should I this? Where should I that? Well, listen, even as a new company in a year, you've probably done 20 jobs. You probably met two GCs, right? When was the last time you spoke to him, right? Sometimes just a friendly call to be like, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? Where are you? Where are you working right now? Oh, we're just doing some stuff over here. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Come for a coffee. Because that's the thing, right? Like I always say, you got to create friends. This is the business we're in, and the more friends, the more alliances you have, the bigger your network is. And this is why, like, a lot of times a lot of guys want to talk to me about, how should I advertise, how should I do this, how should I do that? And it's like, well, before you even get to that, how are you managing your existing clients? That's the biggest thing, because if you're only looking for a new client every single time, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be hard. So I'm glad you brought that up, Costa, because that's huge in these times right now.
And also, the more you nurture these relationships, the less advertising you're gonna do. Like we're huge supporters of like Instagram and just social media in general, where you should be like, pumping out content, especially if you're like into residential. Guys like me and John, who own more of a commercial industrial company, we don't have to do that. We've built our relationships with builders and contractors. So, now it's all word of mouth and just we do work based on the relationships that we already have. But there's no reason why any contractor can't get to that point. And that's by literally nurturing the relationships you have and doing excellent work, taking care of your customers. And like Kosta said, if you haven't reached out in a while, reach out to them, just make yourself, put yourself out there. And over time, you won't even need to spend $1 on advertising. We've had a couple of people on the show where they're just swamped with work and they don't spend a penny on any kind of marketing, right? And you ask them, it's like, where are you getting your work from? It's like, you know what? I don't know. People just call me, right? So it's all
Yeah.
word of mouth. It's all referrals, right? So, these are all important steps that you can take that in the end will just help you grow your business.
Yeah, and I would say for the marketing side, like if you're a newer company where you're trying to get your name out there, 100%, right? Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything, every, little job or big job or medium-sized job you do, make sure you're documenting it, make sure you're putting it out, into the world so that people can see the type of work you do. But, for the people that have been around for 5, 10 years, like, guys, you guys have done a lot of work for a lot of different people. And, you're looking at spending money on advertisements when a lot of times your database is worth more than anything Google can bring you, right? So just don't forget to tap into that. Don't forget to look around, because sometimes, like, those hidden gems are right under your nose. You don't even see it. You don't even notice it. And again, like, nourish those relationships, because understand that GC that you worked for, they can open a lot of doors. That homeowner that, you had an amazing relationship with, and, you did a good job for them. Like, I guarantee you, they know somebody that's just about to renovate their home, thinking about renovating their home, you know, something, right? Like, something will come out of it, right? You just need to, like again, just remember, it doesn't all come to you. It's the energy you put out, right? So in these times, again, like, I'm glad you brought it up again, Costa. Like I said, that CRM is extremely, extremely important.
And honestly, people really underestimate the power of the CRM. Like, imagine a contractor who's been doing work, like whether it's service or residential, just, small to medium sized jobs. Over the course of 5 years, he builds a clientele of, let's say, 300 to 500 customers, right? Now, imagine having those customers in a CRM where you can now send them an email and just say, hey, Bob's Electrical, just reaching out, just want to say Merry Christmas. Hope you had a great year. We were thinking about you, just wanted to say thank you for all the previous work. If you ever need anything in the near future, we're offering 10% off. And now you've just reached out to 500 people who may have been putting off a simple project in their house, that are going to see your name. They remember the good work that you did and say, fuck, you know what? This guy was great. And, he roughed in all these pot lights, and I've been really meaning to get some outdoor lighting, right? And what does it take you? A few seconds of writing an email that you're going to send to the masses, right? And you cannot underestimate that and overlook these tools that we have at our disposal in 2025, because everybody else is using them. So if you're not, you're sleeping and you're falling behind, and you really have to get on the train.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the best opportunities are often right under your nose, right? And it's such an easy one to tap into. Another thing too, if I'm a contractor right now, things are slower. If you're used to quoting like 20, 30 jobs a week and we're down to like 5, 6 a week. Now it's more important than ever. Like, how are you packaging that quote? Like, how are you presenting that job, that estimate? Now is a great time to fine tune those things, because again, we talk about this a lot, and I just keep seeing and speaking to way too many contractors who are still half-assing how they send out quotes, and they don't realize how critical that piece is in the process. Like, this is a sales process. Like, from that initial quote that you send out, you're engaging in a sales process, and you have to think about how is that client receiving that quote? Like, how easy it is for them to accept, view, digitally sign, and approve that quote. How does it look? All these things, even though you don't realize that they're important, they make a difference. They make a huge difference, actually, in terms of how which contractor someone goes with. It's oftentimes how that quote is presented, right? So that's another really
Yeah,
important
it's
one.
yeah, fine tuning your whole process. So yeah, like you said, if it's a little bit slower on your end, again, there's many ways to try to keep busy, but at the same time, especially we're getting to the end of the year now, and you have a new year coming up. Start looking at everything that you have in in front of you, the tools that you're using, and start thinking about, okay, how can I get more efficient? How can I get more professional? How, start looking at all this, right? This is the time to really, because when things are extremely busy out there, you don't have time, right? So if you're in a little bit of a lull, or you're noticing a little bit of a slowdown, right? Like now it's time to work on the business, right? Like, kind of like regroup, so that every client that you're hitting, you're maximizing the efficiency and the time, um, and like Kosta said, the way you're presenting everything, right? Like, what do your processes look like? What's your follow up look like? What do your emails look like? What does your signature look like? Again, when was the last time you got updated pricing from your suppliers, right? Like, look at all this, right? It's running a business, and running a successful business. It's never ending. So take these times to really like review your processes. What's the client receiving? Like Kosta said, how does your quotes look? How do your invoices look? What's your intake when somebody does call you? And Kosta, I know you're huge on these custom forms that, like, we provide with Jobtable, or whether you're using another software. Um, all these processes is just going to make you a better businessman, right? So review all of that.
Yeah, and they not only make you a better businessman, but they can actually help you win more jobs, right? It's very practical, and you might see the return sooner than you think, just by cleaning up a few simple things. Other than that, like, I know we're in. I can't believe we're already in pretty much December right now, next week, but year end, closing out the year. You know, how are you guys preparing for that? Like, where's your head at? How are you strategizing for next year? What's going on?
Man, it's just the end of year is always bittersweet for me. I feel like, on one side, I'm extremely excited just to kind of shut down for a couple of weeks or a week, whatever we manage to get, and just spend lots of time with the family, travel if possible, and just kind of turn your head off of work. But then another part of me knows that that's not possible, and I always think about work 24/7. So my mind's going to be on it, and then I'm already thinking and planning for the next year. So I feel it's kind of like I'm an in between. I try to relax, and I'm not saying that as a negative thing. I mean, I think if you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner, I think you should be thinking about your business no matter what. This is not a 9 to 5 job. But again, like, it is stressful, because you have to, you got to button everything up. You got to put a bow on everything as best as you can before the year's up. So, general contractors become very, very demanding in the next few weeks. which is normal. They're getting a lot of pressure from the clients to wrap up the entire job, or if not a certain portion of the job. So obviously that pressure gets passed down to us, and from us it goes to our guys. And the few weeks leading up to Christmas are usually very, very stressful. But with that being said, we also have guys that love to work throughout the holidays, so they're begging us for work because they can't stand just sitting at home. So as owners, we try our best to kind of cater to everybody. We try to find work for the guys who want to work. We try to button everything up and wrap it with a bow for the GCs and the clients, and make the job nice and pretty before we leave for a week. And then me and Johny were just kind of already thinking about the new year. This is what we do, not just now. This is what we've been doing for the last 3-4 months. And anyone listening, if you're starting to think about the new year in December, you're doing something wrong, man. You should be planning for January, February, 6 months out, if not sooner. You should already have that plan in motion. You don't want to get caught with your pants down. You don't want to, just look forward to that vacation and come back, January 3rd and say, okay, all right, now what? Back to it. And now you're starting the engine and you're trying to get the wheels moving. Like, no, the engine should never turn off. If anything, you should just put it in park and it should just be idling for a week or so. And then you jump back in and you're back into drive and you're off to the races, right? So like I said, very bittersweet. But also it's important to remember that you can't just be going 100 miles an hour and giving it 100%, all the time. It's very important to take that time with your family and not necessarily stop thinking about work, but shift your focus, and really dedicate time to other things that are more important than work, right?
Yeah, for sure. Another one too, like for me, I'm thinking about, back to, especially now, things are slow. See, I'm a lifelong learner. Like I can't stop. Like I'm always if you think you know it all, you're going to get stepped on and left behind. You can never have that mentality and that ego. You cannot stop learning, especially now with, technology, AI, things are changing. We're living in a world that is changing really fast right now. So I think now is a great opportunity to try and surround yourself with successful people that are more successful than you as much as you can. Like tap into circles, go to conferences, just even if they're virtual, live, whatever, just try
Come see
and
us at the show.
try and try and surround yourself with successful people that are doing it. And I think that goes a long way, which a lot of people don't do.
That's such a good point. I was talking to somebody last week actually, and we're very similar in the sense that we spend probably 3 to 4 hours a day in our vehicles, right? Driving around and whatever. So I asked him, I said, what do you do while you're driving? He goes, oh, I listen to sports radio, I listen to music. And I was kind of like taken aback and shocked. He's like, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you do? I'm like, man, 3-4 hours in my truck. I'm listening to like audiobooks. I'm listening to, to anything I can learn. I'm soaking it up. It's like, think about 4 hours. It's 20 hours a week of hours that could be spent learning a skill. Whether you're learning about the monetary system, whether you're learning about stocks, investments, about health, learning another language, like go down the list, man. Like this is time that you're wasting, and you're listening to a sports radio host talking about the Baltimore Ravens against the Cincinnati Bengals, and you're not even betting on the fucking game. You're just doing it because you like the team, right? And I know like I might come off like an asshole.
Why, is there anybody
that,
like the Ravens
right?
or the Bengals?
What's that?
Why, is there anybody that likes the Bengals or the Ravens?
Yeah. Here we go. No, but you know what I mean. Listen, there's nothing wrong with taking a load off and watching a game, but when you're dedicating 20 hours of your week on listening to things that will not benefit you in any way and that are a complete distraction from your life, just probably is an indicator that you're not very happy with your life and you need some distractions to take you away from it, right? So yeah, great point, Kosta. Like I just tell people, man, like you don't even need to wait for the holidays for that. You can do that in your everyday life.
That should be That's a good point. Like I can't tell you how many times like I listened to an audiobook, a podcast, and like just like a sentence, someone says something that you might like overlook, but like it triggers something. And like the amount of times like I send you guys stuff on our chat of like the random shit that I'm listening to, and like a lot of these things, these random things that you're hearing spark an idea that you implement the next day or whatever gets you thinking. So yeah, that's a good point. 3 hours in a truck,
Yeah.
that could be time well spent.
That's an
Yeah.
Educate.
but at the end of the year, that's an education.
No, it is. It is. And
That's a scholarship, man.
and it's funny. I
Mhm.
think we were all talking about this too. It's like, we do this with Jobtable, Charlie. We do this with iPlum all the time, and it's like sometimes getting in a room and talking with like-minded people who are more successful, like Kosta said, surrounding yourself with people, listening to an audiobook, listening to somebody that you find inspirational, or you like the way they talk, or whatever it is. It can really spark an idea, and it can be something that has nothing to do with your business, but something will stick. And I guarantee you, everybody listening knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? You've heard something said in your life, by somebody, whether it was online or whether it was a family member, a friend, an uncle's friend, doesn't matter. And there's like a saying, something that will just spark this idea, and then that's what will, obviously, like make the wheels start turning, and then all of a sudden you're looking at things from a different lens, and that leads to something else, right? So um, just never stop the journey, right? Don't stay stagnant, guys. Again, that's how we got onto this conversation, looking at the end of the year. Just look how to always better yourself, right? And you know what, like, again, Charlie, that was a great point. It's like, for anybody that's, any contractor listening, you guys spend a lot of the times in the truck, like a lot of these finished carpenters, I know, man, while you guys are working, you guys have headphones on, and you guys got the radio going, something, right? Listening to something, whether it's a podcast, whether it's an audiobook, whether it's something, because it just takes that one sentence, that one liner, that one idea that's just going to get, the wheels turning in your head. And it's like, you know what, like, shit, if I implement something like this, then, that can lead to this and that. And I'm telling you, man, that's how you ever evolve, right? Because we say this all the time, right, Charlie? It's like, you look at these massive developers, right? And you got to look at them on scales, right? So let's say, the biggest developer, in North America, let's say he's at point Z, right? And let's just say you, as a new contractor, you're at point A, you're looking at point Z, saying like, oh my God, I wish I was there. But the reality is you can't even see past, point D, right? So you need to take these steps one at a time. And every time you take that step, understand that in order to get to that, you know, end goal that we're all chasing, you need to be able to go through these steps in between and master those steps and know how to move on from, step A to get to B, and then B to C, and so on and so forth. So I think that, this conversation about, just ever evolving and ever, you know, self-learning is extremely important.
Yeah, Costa, another great point you made is surround yourself with successful people. One of my favorite sayings ever is show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I think that is one of the most important lessons anybody can learn in their lives. And look, I grew up with some very questionable people in a very questionable neighborhood, as you know, John. But I was fortunate enough to have made groups of friends from different parts of the city as well, who really carried me through very difficult times. And I was able to kind of, get away from a certain group and stick to a more successful and like-minded group. And look, we all want to go to the bar and have a couple beers and shoot the shit, and there's nothing wrong with that. Taking a load off, it's important, but don't make it a habit of just going out and drinking with your buddies and watching the games. Like Costa said, surround yourself with people that are very successful and follow their patterns, right? And mimic them and pick their brains and learn from them. And once you do, you'll be on the right path, and you'll start to look at things in a lot different light and in a very different way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, end of
Well
the
said.
year, now's the time to just, sum it up, like get your mind right, get in that right mentality. And yeah, like podcasts, books. I actually have this book I'm rereading. This might be I highly recommend it. Uh, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. This might be probably my favorite book of all time. Probably reading it now for like the 10th time. And a book like that can literally change your life,
Yeah.
So, yeah, highly recommend that. And yeah, just get your mind right.
Another good
Hold on,
one. Sorry,
one,
now we're just giving recommendations on books. One that I reread at least once a year. Like I've literally had to buy another copy just because of how many times I've opened the pages. Is How to Win Friends and Influence People for everybody in business. We were talking about database and nurturing your relationships. That's another huge one. So yeah, anybody listening, again, take this down. Subscribe to audiobooks and just listen to these, man. Like, just as a pastime, because I'm telling you, there's going to be certain one liners, something that's going to really resonate with you guys as business owners, and really help you elevate your game.
And anybody that has kids out there, there's actually an author that wrote a book called The Wand. It's an introduction to entrepreneurship. It's by an author called Charlie Lord, a very handsome gentleman. Very well written. But if you do have kids and you want to introduce them to the idea of entrepreneurship, it's called The Wand. Check it
Yeah,
out.
amazing.
It's on my shelf right there for
Yeah,
anyone wondering what that book is.
yeah.
That's
And
the
there's
one
also
right
a
there.
sequel. There's also a sequel to it. It's called The Rocket Ship. And it just goes to show you, you know what? As much as we're joking around, and Charlie, I'm not blowing steam up your ass, but buddy, like, listen, man. The reality is, when I met you, you're right. Very questionable people. Grew up in a very questionable neighborhood, and it's like, look at where you become. You become half handsome. You've surrounded yourself with good friends. And look, man.
I still have some questionable ones though.
But look, man, the reality is look, you've continued to blow my mind. Like I said, you know, becoming a children's author, like I would have never expected that from you, right? So
Look,
so
at the end
again,
of the, yeah, no, listen, I appreciate that. I don't do well with compliments, and I do appreciate it. But like, look, anybody that's listening to this, if you're a business owner, and most people that listen to this are, you are already like a unique person. You already hold like incredible qualities for the fact that you went out and took the risk and started a business. You have to wake up and look at yourself in the mirror and realize that you hold so many keys in your hand, and you have the opportunity to live a life that a very small percentage of people are able to do. Right? We've had people on the show that are extremely confident entrepreneurs, right? You can just feel it off of them when they're talking, right? But we've also spoken to a lot of business owners who don't have that same confidence. Like they wake up, they do their day to day, they make more money than the average, and they have a business, but they don't look at their business as this like incredible opportunity, right? We always say this on the podcast, where it's almost like they've just created a job for themselves to be employed. They're employed to themselves essentially, right? And man, do not downplay the position that you're in as a business owner. Like the opportunity is endless. You can grow this until you have 2,000 employees if you really want to. You can keep it the same if that's what you want, but just keep that in mind. It's the power is in your hands, and don't let it go, because we're not here for a long time. And you have to seize the opportunity and utilize and squeeze every single drop of this lemon that you have.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, boys. I think we can wrap there. If you are a contractor looking to streamline things, we have an amazing Black Friday sale going on right now. Just pulling it up here. So our price is the Black Friday deal. So everyone's slashing prices this week. We didn't, because when you're already the most affordable software in the game, there's not much left to slash. So this offer ends never. So if you are looking to streamline things, check out jobtable.com, sign up for a 14-day free trial. We're more than happy to assist. And wherever you're listening to this, hit subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. And we appreciate everyone's time here. And we'll wrap it there.
Just
And
really
again,
quick, just one more
yeah,
thing too. If anyone listening, if you're hesitant on even signing up for a free trial, you're not confident with using software, feel free to DM us, reach out to us, and we can have one of our team members do a demo with you. We can walk you through the whole process, and you'll quickly realize that it's honestly like you're playing a video game. It's very simple, and it will completely change the way you do business, and we'll put money back in your pocket. So hit us up if you have any hesitation.
yeah, for sure. And again, if you're going to be in Toronto, going to be at the show, look for us. We'll be there. If you want to pass, send us a message and we will hook you up as well. Boys, this was fun. Until next time.
Till next
Ciao,
time.
guys. Pleasure
Thank you
as
for
always.
listening,
All right.
guys.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.